did you close them off or something?
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Monmouth Mall in Eatontown, New Jersey. The mall is currently preparing for a massive redevelopment, and pretty much a demolition of half the mall is going to occur very soon. So why don't we get inside and tell the story of the Monmouth Mall one final time. Most of the land that the Monmouth Shopping Center would be constructed on was farmland owned by Albert E. Adams. Adams passed away in 1954 and left his 43-acre farm to his son Oliver. At the start of 1956, widespread reports began to leak in town that a Newark firm had been collecting options to sell from the owners of a number of smaller properties adjacent to Adams' farm. One of the properties belonged to the chair of Eatontown Planning Board, who owned a plot off Rycroft Road. Then in January, a mystery dummy company from Newark called the Monmouth Restaurant and Motel Corporation purchased Adams' farmland for $200,000. The New York City-based attorney for the company told the Asbury Park Press, the area's newspaper, that the purchase was organized for a client who intended to resell the property. The attorney said he could not name the client. The sale was approved on a Friday. The following Wednesday, Eatontown's Borough Council introduced an amendment to change the farmland from an R3 residence zone to a business and light industry zone. Mayor F. Bliss Price denied knowing whether the Newark firm had bought the farm, had asked to have it rezoned. Price also denied knowing the farm had been sold. On May 12, 1958, ground was broken for the center. A ceremony would be held for the $15 million shopping center that day. The 70-acre site would be one of the state's largest shopping centers at the time. The center would consist of 14 separate buildings and would accommodate more than 60 stores, including a Bamberger's, which would be their 6th department store in New Jersey. The developers behind the project would be the Massachusetts-based Massachusetts Life Insurance Company. On Thursday, September 24, 1959, it was announced that Montgomery Wards would be joining the lineup at the shopping center as a department store. The center would take 2 years to build from this groundbreaking on May 12, 1958. On March 1, 1960, the Monmouth Shopping Center would officially open. The doors of the multi-million-dollar project would be officially opened at a brief public ceremony starting at 9:45 a.m. Thousands of orange and white balloons would be sent aloft at the end of the ceremony to symbolize the official launching of the center. The Montgomery Ward store would not open until later in 1960, when a second grand opening event was held. On Wednesday, September 8, 1971, Montgomery Wards would close. The store will reopen several months later after being renovated under the name Alexander's. Wards sold its leases here and in Milano Park to Alexander's Incorporated in a $10 million deal. Also around this time, John Feist, vice president of Feist & Feist, who manages and is leasing agent for the center, confirmed that plans were being made to enclose and enlarge the 50-store complex. It was known at the time that the owner of the shopping center, U.S. Investment Fund of the British West Indies, had purchased and obtained options on an additional 35 acres along Wyckoff Road for expansion. On Thursday, November 2nd, 1972 at 10 a.m., Alexander's held their grand opening after extensive renovations of their former Montgomery Ward store. Just about a month before, workers were putting the final touches on the store to prepare for the November 2nd opening date. In late 1973 and early 1974, site work began to construct the new mall. The expansion would increase the size of the 488,000 square foot center to more than 1.3 million when completed. In January 1974, site work began to enclose the existing pedestrian mall. The expansion would cost about $25 million to construct. Plans call for 3 new large department stores in the expansion: a Hanes department store with 160,000 square feet of space, a 250,000 square foot Abraham & Straus department store, and a 190,000 square foot J.C. Penney. On Wednesday, March 5th, 1975, the Hanes department store opened. Hanes would be the first anchor store to open in the new 2-story section of the mall. At this time, the mall was still under construction but nearing completion. On Tuesday, August 19th, 1975 at 9:30 a.m., the new Monmouth Mall would open to the public. At the time of the mall's opening, it was one of the largest in the state. Charles Leiber, vice president of Arlen Shopping Centers Company, developers of the Monmouth Mall, and other center officials raised a 2-story high corrugated steel fire door that has separated the original enclosed mall area from the brand new 2-level mall during construction. After the fire door was lifted, shoppers would have full access to the interconnected malls opening to 3 major department stores and 130 satellite shops. The designers of the mall, New York-based Copeland Novak in Israel, have created a year-round climate-controlled enclosure for shoppers with extensive plantings or real trees and greenery to delight the eye, splashing fountains to soothe the ear, and especially commissioned contemporary sculptures to stimulate the spirit. One notable sculpture was the towering Tree of Life, sculpted by Bowden Grom. Frequently spaced seating areas were installed to allow shoppers to rest and enjoy the amenities and the flow of people. On Wednesday, September 8, 1976, JCPenney held their grand opening celebration at 10 a.m. Shoppers could find exciting sales and specials for their family, home, and car. In February 1977, ground was broken on the construction of the Abraham and Straus department store. In addition, an adjoining parking garage for about 5,000 cars would be constructed. The A&S would be 3 levels, and the estimated construction cost would be about $5 million. On Monday, April 24, 1978, Abraham and Straus held their grand opening. Shortly after the A&S opened, the 3-level parking garage opened up. The mall expansion was now officially complete. The mall was a big hit, along with their department stores and the inline tenants, of course. In December 1982, it was announced that Alexander's would close on January 15th and be replaced by a Caldor discount department store. The closing of Alexander's came as a shock to employees, as one describes it as, quote, "It dropped like a bomb here yesterday." On Wednesday, January 12th, 1983 at 7 p.m., Alexander's closed its doors for the final time, 3 days before expected. On Thursday, September 22nd, 1983 at 9:45 a.m., Caldor held their grand ribbon cutting ceremony. The grand opening was very successful, as the store stayed very busy throughout the day. This would be Caldor's 10th store to open in New Jersey. The two-level store at the mall would feature over 80 merchandise departments. In late 1986, it was announced that Bamberger's would become Macy's. The Bamberger's name will be dropped at all the chain's existing stores. Bamberger's was a division of Macy's since 1929. In this move, Bamberger's would adopt the name of its parent company. On October 5th, 1986, the changeover to Macy's would become official. In 1987, the mall was overhauled and renovated. The renovation brought in new lighting, new flooring, and other new features. During the renovation, the in-ground planters and seating were also removed. And if you would like to see plenty more pictures from the renovation, please go over to Facebook and check out the Monmouth Mall Memories Facebook group, and you'll find lots of old pictures from the mall and plenty of pictures from the 1987 renovation. In January 1989, it was announced that Hanes would be closing. May department stores planned to fold the Hain & Company retail chain into Lord & Taylor. Originally, the store at the Monmouth Mall would be sold as a part of a statewide plan to sell 5 Hain stores and convert 4 others into Lord & Taylor stores. At this time, the store was announced to close in April, but it was announced later the store would close in March. On March 28, 1989, the Asbury Park Press published an article saying that the store may now stay open until the end of April. Then in June of 1989, an article was published that said Hanes would stay open until a buyer could be found for the building. On June 17, 1989, an article was published announcing that Lord & Taylor would take over the Hanes at the mall as a part of a plan to have 10 department stores in New Jersey by 1991. The Hanes would close sometime in June or July of 1989. On Friday, July 20th, 1990, Lord & Taylor held their grand opening. The store will be the 6th in New Jersey and the 48th store overall. Shoppers crowded the store on opening day and throughout the days to come. On Monday, July 23, 1990, Caldor abruptly closed the store at the mall, catching both workers and shoppers off guard. Almost immediately, cranes were removing the Caldor signs and windows were being papered over. For a short time, an antique center ran out of the former Caldor, but it is unknown when they opened and closed. In 1994, construction was underway on an expansion and remodel. A 15-screen Sony theaters, 2 sit-down restaurants, a 650-seat 9-stall food court with a boardwalk theme, and a redesign of the mall's fixtures, signs, and overall appearance would be included. The former Caldor will be redeveloped to expand the mall and food court space for this project. On Wednesday, December 21, 1994, Sony theaters would open with 8 screens. The other 7 would open in February 1995. In January 1995, it was announced that Abraham & Straus would be converted to a Stearns department store on April 30, 1995. This was a result of the merger of Federated Department Stores with R.H. Macy & Co. The conversion of the Monmouth Mall A&S to Stearns took place overnight on April 29, 1995. On Thursday, February 8, 2001, it was announced that Stearns would close all of its stores. 17 of the 24 stores would become Macy's, 2 to Bloomingdale's, and 5 would be closed. The store at the Monmouth Mall will be one of the stores to close fully. Stearns will close for the final time on July 14, 2001. Shortly after Stearns' departure, on July 23, 2001, Reading, Pennsylvania-based Boscov's department store announced that they would be opening a store in the former Stearns space. On Friday, October 19, 2001, Boscov's held their preview opening day, in which shoppers paid a $5 admission fee to a charity to enter the store. Boscov's held their official grand opening 2 days later on Sunday, October 21st. In October 2002, the mall was sold for $164.7 million to a joint venture between Vornado Realty Trust and Kushner Companies. So right now we are walking down to the management offices and community rooms and bathrooms. There's also a place down here called SCAN, which I think is a senior center organization. But anyway, you go down here to to this liminal dark area. There's bathrooms down here and everything, but the management office was closed. But I don't even know why they keep this open, because there's already bathrooms in the mall by the security desk, and it's just no one ever comes down here, and it's just this dark area. But it was still cool, really cool, to come down here and walk around. In August 2008, it was announced that Boscov's would close as a part of a plan to close 10 underperforming stores as a result of Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The store would close later in 2008. On Wednesday, July 7, 2010, it was announced that the Monmouth Mall would go under an extensive renovation that would include fresh paint, new flooring, upgraded lighting, and ceiling tiles. The renovation would be done in 2 phases. Phase 1 would encompass the mall's single level from Barnes & Noble to the movie theater. The second phase would include the 2-level section, the food court, and the exterior food court entrance. Phase 1 would have a completion goal of by mid-November 2010, and Phase 2 starting in mid-January 2011, and would have a goal of completion by summer 2011. During this renovation, the food court would lose its designation as the Boardwalk Cafes, and would be remodeled to a dark and bland gray food court. The whole mall during this time would be remodeled to the look it has today. What are my thoughts about the remodel? I think it was terrible. The mall lost its character, especially the food court, which used to be a fun place to grab a bite to eat. I would not even want to eat in this food court after the remodel because honestly it just sucks, and I'm sure many people would agree with me that the food court lost its character. On Sunday, October 9, 2011, Boscov's held their grand reopening after a 3-year absence. Boscov's decided to reopen 2 stores that closed during the 2008 bankruptcy. At the time, the owner of the Monmouth Mall contacted Al Boscov and asked if he was willing to return. Al Boscov was a little worried that the store would not perform as well as before, but he was eased when he started to see the number of sales on the first soft grand opening day. The grand opening celebration saw a visit from Shirley Jones from the Partridge Family and Gene London. In August 2015, it was announced that Kushner Companies bought out its joint venture partner in the Monmouth Mall, Fernanda Realty Trust, for $38 million. Jared Kushner explained how they wanted to take the mall to the next level by building off work that has already been accomplished. In February 2016, Monmouth Mall owner Kushner Companies announced conceptual plans to redevelop the mall into a pedestrian-friendly live, work, and play development at a cost of approximately $500 million. The development, which would be renamed the Monmouth Town Center, was proposed to include residential apartments, a hotel, retail space, entertainment, and dining options. The proposal also included an outdoor plaza, green spaces, and a biker and pedestrian-friendly streetscape. The residential component was intended to include 1 and 2 bedroom apartment units to minimize the impacts on local traffic and public school systems. Kushner Company's then CEO Jared Kushner noted the struggle faced by traditional enclosed shopping malls in the 21st century. The project would keep the current mall from Macy's to Boscov's, but it would call for the demolition of the food court. On April 27, 2016, a public meeting was held in a local middle school gymnasium where several borough residents spoke out against the redevelopment. After all said and done, Kushner announced the abandonment of the 2016 project at the same meeting. In May 2017, a proposal named the Heights at Monmouth was made. It would boast an expansive glass canopy that appears to stretch several hundred feet. It would cover an area called the Culinary Marketplace. The new redevelopment would feature wine bars, upscale eateries, and tea boutiques. During this time, Kushner partnered with Rouse Properties, now Brookfield Properties, for the redevelopment. The redevelopment was approved on July 16, 2018. The new plans included opening up the 2-story mall corridor and creating new outdoor corridors. The plan also included provisions to the additional 700 residential apartment units, of which 88 would be designed for affordable housing. In September 2018, it was announced that Lord & Taylor would close as a part of a plan to close 10 stores. The store would close in January 2019. Around May 2021, Kushner Companies took full control of the property, buying out its partner Brookfield Properties. In July 2022, it was announced that JCPenney would close in October. The store closed for the final time on October 23, 2022. On August 1st, 2023, it was revealed that one of the first retailers for the updated mall will be Whole Foods Market. This location is planning to open where the Barnes & Noble is currently located at the mall. The bookstore is still planning to stay in operation at the mall, but is relocating to a different section. Demolition is currently underway at the food court mall entrance and 2 outdoor-facing businesses for the new Barnes & Noble. These changes, along with the proposals to create apartments and green areas, are all parts of the new plan to turn the mall into an improved commercial area dubbed Monmouth Square. In April 2023, the local government of Eatontown officially agreed to these plans. The proposed residential section, which includes the construction of apartments, will eventually become known as Monmouth Village. Finally, in January 2024, it was announced that demolition of the Monmouth Mall will begin in March of 2024. This brings us to today, with demolition underway for the new Barnes & Noble and the looming demolition for the former JCPenney, Lord & Taylor, and the two-level concourse. It is unclear when the closing off of the two-level portion and demolition will happen, but it will most likely begin very soon. I would like to thank you very much for watching, and if you stuck with me throughout this whole video, you might also have an interest in dead malls and dying retail, and if you do, feel free to subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, and don't forget to leave me a comment. I hope you all have a good evening if you caught the premiere, and as always, I will see everyone in the next video.